We're joined by award-winning journalist and political columnist with the Indianapolis Star, Matthew Tully, who's presenting the next program in the Conversations About Education series at Central Library. That program will be on Tuesday, May 15th at 6 p.m., and it is free and open to the public. Now, Matthew will be talking about his acclaimed book, Searching for Hope, which chronicles the daily triumphs and failures of Manual High School here in Indianapolis. And that book was derived from articles that Matt wrote for the Indianapolis Star on this topic. And Matthew, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you again. This book has only been out for a couple of months. What kind of reaction have you received so far?
Very good reaction. You know, the book publishing industry is so strange. You know, the book comes out and you have your book launch party and you get a little bit of attention, then it kind of fades until someone does a review and then it gets a little more attention. So it's been interesting. But I will say, by far, the best reaction has been from teachers. I just love hearing from teachers who say, boy, thanks for showing people what really goes on in some of our schools and the challenges that we face. And some have said, I hope future teachers, those now studying to become teachers, read this so they know what to expect. They know what life is really like inside a school. So it's been a nice reaction from the teachers, and even some students have at various schools have started reading it, and I'm hearing their reviews, and I love it. You know, they like some things about it, but they're critics too, so it's been pretty interesting.
Oh, good. Give some people that perhaps many of our viewers have not seen the articles or read the book. Give us a sense of the story and the time you spent at Manual High School and the kind of access you were able to obtain with the parents, teachers, and students. Yeah.
Well, I went to Manual High School in the beginning of the 2009-2010 school year, and the reason I went there was because I'd written columns for 2 or 3 or 4 years about education policy and the huge problems we have in this city, the challenges that we have in the city with the dropout rate and academic failure and all these things. And I just felt like I wasn't really getting to the core of what was really going on. I was covering policy and debates at the State House or at the school board or federally, but maybe I wasn't giving readers a really sense of what was really going on in the schools. And so I'd gone to schools here and there and spent some time, written columns about what I saw over the course of 1 or 2 or 3 days. But I decided to do a deep dive and really see what was going on in the school. And I went to Manual and I wrote about the school. I ended up writing 34 columns that school year about the triumphs and the failures, the ups and the downs, the challenges and the successes. But I really tried to make the series, while it was told through the story of Manual High School, it wasn't really about Manual High School. It was about the challenges facing schools just like it all over the city, all over the state, all over the country. Everything going on there is representative, I believe, of things that you can find in schools in Ohio or Washington or Chicago or wherever. And that was the key, that we were telling it through this one school, and I think that helped people connect with the series. But it was telling a larger story. Importantly, through the eyes of real people, students, staff, parents, and they're so fascinating. There's no easier place to find great column material than in a high school. And you know, I wrote 34 columns, and I've had some people say, boy, how'd you find enough material for 34 columns in a book? And I said, the hard part was all the columns I left on the floor, all the great stories that I wanted to tell, I just didn't get a chance to get around to.
Well, I know from reading many of the articles in the Star just how heartfelt and personal these stories became. How would you rate this overall experience compared to your many other journalistic endeavors?
By far at the top of the list. It changed me as a journalist, as a columnist. The way I go about my job, I think of completely differently because of the way the community reached out to Manual High School. There was so much concern about the kids and teachers and parents that I wrote about from readers. They gave their money, they gave their time, they gave their hearts. It really showed me that journalists can't just be on the sidelines writing stories. When you're at a local paper, you really have to find new ways to engage people, to help people get involved, to help by telling the stories and pointing people in the right direction, maybe helping show people that there are solutions to the problems out there, that we're not just we can't just sit there and highlight the problems. We have to also highlight the solutions or the potential solutions. So it really did change the way I look at my job. I still cover politics and I still enjoy that. I'm a political junkie. But the columns that I really get a kick out of doing now are the ones where I'm in the schools or in the neighborhoods writing about what real people are going through.
Well, you mentioned there are potential solutions to situations facing Manual and other schools. Bottom line conclusion, is there reason to be optimistic or pessimistic toward that future?
Well, there's reason to be both. There are huge challenges and there are huge obstacles standing in their way. There's still a lot of apathy out there. There's problems in school districts, in homes, in the schools themselves that are standing in the way. These are monumental problems, and there are no easy solutions. It's hard work. When you see a teacher who is raising his or her students' test scores or pushing more kids to the finish line than would otherwise be the case, they do it through all kinds of ways, all kinds of things that they've learned, all kinds of talent and skill and things like that, but also just through back-breaking hard work day after day after day. But there's also reason to be optimistic because I think there's more energy now being geared toward fixing our schools than ever before. More people are engaged, more people are involved. In our city, mayors have often kind of stayed away from the issue of traditional public schools. I think they're realizing that the future of their city, whoever the mayor is now or later, the future of this city relies on stronger schools, and so mayors know they can't just leave that issue to the school board and to the districts, that they have to be involved. I think people that live in the community understand that their property values, their quality of life, their children's future is at stake here, and you have to be involved. We have a ton of great organizations that have moved into the city, bringing human capital with them, that are putting good ideas to work every day. So there's a lot of good going on, but the challenges are huge. I think the biggest fear is that this is just a phase, that everyone's excited about education reform and improvement now, and that 5 years from now we'll have moved on to the next thing, and it can't be a short-term solution.
Well, again, you're presenting the next program in the Conversations About Education series at Central Library. Again, that will be on Tuesday, May 15th at 6 p.m. in the auditorium here at Central Library. But you'll also be moderating the following program on Tuesday, May 29th at 6 p.m., and that is about educational accountability. What can you tell us about that program?
Well, I think the whole series is just so important. I think everything that you guys are doing to spotlight the challenges and potential solutions in education, I just think it's so important that we get more people engaged, more people involved. I think schools, districts, teachers have to be praised as much as we can when they're doing the right thing, but they have to be challenged when they're not doing the right thing, or when there are pockets of them that aren't doing the right thing. And it's not all about test scores. It's not all about numbers and graduation rates. There's so many factors that go into whether a school or a district is successful or doing everything they can. But I think the questions that I'm going to be asking is, what do we do to make sure we're holding people accountable in ways that lead to better outcomes? Not just shaming people. That's not what this has to be about. This has to be about finding ways to improve the system, to make sure teachers, who I think are the most important piece of this, have every bit of support. And sometimes that means being shown that, hey, maybe there's better ways of doing things. Maybe there are supports that you need that we can find as a community.
And it's important to engage the community, as you mentioned earlier, and the opportunity to do so is for people to attend the Conversations About Education series at Central Library. The next one that you'll be presenting, where you'll be talking about your book, Searching for Hope, is on Tuesday, May 15th at 6 p.m., followed by Tuesday, May 29th at 6 p.m. on educational accountability. Matthew, thank you for your good works. Congratulations on the success of the book so far. And this book can be found not only in local bookstores, but it is available in the library's catalog. Just check imcpl.org to find Searching for Hope.